10,000 feet above the Amazon rainforest. Christmas Eve, 1971. A commercial jet is falling apart mid-air. 91 people are strapped inside. 90 will die. 1 will land alive.
Her name is Julianne Kopke. She is 17 years old, and when the plane rips apart at 21,000 feet, she is still strapped to a row of 3 seats, falling through a thunderstorm above the deadliest jungle on Earth.
This is not a survival story. This is a story about what happens when the world decides you should be dead, and physics decides otherwise.
Flight 508 took off from Lima at 11:38 in the morning. LANSA Airlines. 91 people on board, most of them German engineers, families, businessmen, and one 17-year-old girl flying to meet her father for Christmas.
Nobody on that flight knew what most travelers in Lima already whispered about the airline. LANSA had a nickname, the airline that crashes on its belly. 3 of its planes had already gone down. This flight, on this aircraft, would be the last plane LANSA ever flew.
The Lockheed L-188 Electra was a turboprop originally designed for desert flying. Its wings were not flexible enough to survive violent turbulence. American Aviation had already pulled it from service years earlier.
Most of the passengers did not know this, and even if they had, there were no other tickets left. It was Christmas Eve.
Julianne and her mother had planned to fly out a week earlier, but Julianne had her graduation ceremony. She could not miss it, so they took the last flight available, seat 19F, window seat, second row from the back. Her father had begged them not to fly LANSA.
The first 30 minutes were normal. Breakfast was served. Pilots chatted about their families. Passengers were talking about Christmas dinner. And then the sky ahead turned black.
The pilots had a choice: turn back, divert around the storm, or push through it. They chose to push through.
Within minutes, the plane was inside the worst tropical storm Peru had seen that season. Lightning flashed so violently, the interior of the cabin lit up white. Turbulence became extreme. Overhead compartments burst open. Luggage crashed down onto passengers.
Then, at 21,000 feet, lightning struck the right wing. The wing caught fire. Within seconds, it broke away from the fuselage. Then part of the left wing tore off too. The plane began disintegrating in the air.
Julianne was still strapped into her seat. Her mother sat next to her, and Julianne heard her mother say the last words she would ever say.
Now it is all over.
The row of 3 seats broke away from the fuselage, and Julianne began to fall. 10,000 feet. Alone, still strapped in. She heard the roar of the plane fade, then the wind, then silence. She lost consciousness before she hit the ground.
The next morning, the largest search operation in Peruvian history began. Helicopters swept the Amazon for days, but the jungle canopy was so thick from above that the wreckage was invisible. Rescue workers reported back the same conclusion again and again. No survivors could have possibly lived through a fall from that altitude.
The search was called off after 11 days. By then, Julianne was already walking through the jungle.
She had woken up on Christmas morning, alone, in mud. Her collarbone was broken. Her right eye was swollen shut. Her glasses were gone. One of her sandals was missing. She had a concussion, deep cuts across her arm and leg.
And still, somehow, she was alive. How does a 17-year-old fall 10,000 feet and live?
3 things saved her. First, the storm itself. The updrafts, the powerful winds pushing upward from the ground, slowed her descent as she fell.
Second, her row of seats began spinning as it fell, fast enough that it acted like a helicopter blade, reducing her speed further. Third, the Amazon canopy was so dense that when she finally hit, she did not hit the ground.
She hit a tapestry of thick leaves and vines that acted like a mattress.
Every one of those 3 things had to happen. If any one of them had not, she would have died on impact.
But surviving the fall was only the beginning. She was hundreds of miles from any human settlement, in one of the deadliest jungles on Earth. Anacondas, caimans, Goliath bird-eating spiders, jaguars, venomous snakes, and she was already injured, half-blind, and starving.
What she had that nobody else in the wreckage had was knowledge.
Julianne was not a normal 17-year-old. Her parents were zoologists. She had spent 3 years of her childhood at a biological research station deep inside the Amazon. She knew which plants would kill her. She knew which animals to avoid. And she knew something her father had told her over and over again.
If you are ever lost in the jungle, find water. Follow the smallest stream. It will lead to a larger stream, which will lead to a river. And where there is a river, there will eventually be people.
So she followed water. The first day, she found a broken watch, some spoiled fruitcake, and a bag of candy from the wreckage. 30 pieces of candy. That was her food supply for the next 10 days.
She rationed, a few pieces per day. She drank water off leaves in the morning.
On the 4th day, she found the vultures. She followed them, and when she got close, she saw a row of 3 seats driven into the ground upside down.
3 passengers still strapped in. Their heads had gone 3 feet into the soil on impact. Only their legs stuck up into the air.
Julianne looked at one of the bodies. A woman. Fingernails polished. Her mother did not wear nail polish. She kept walking.
On the 6th day, she heard a bird, a Hoatzin bird. Her father had taught her that Hoatzins only nest near open water. That meant a large river was close.
She reached it, 30 feet across, clear water. She looked up and saw open sky for the first time in 6 days.
She saw a rescue plane pass overhead. She waved. She screamed. She jumped. The pilot did not see her.
She sat on the riverbank and waited for the plane to come back. It never did, and after several hours, she realized the sound of rescue aircraft in the distance had faded completely. She understood what that silence meant. The search had been called off. Nobody was coming. She kept walking. By the 10th day, the cuts on her arm had become infected. Flies had laid eggs in the wounds. Maggots were now feeding on her skin, burrowing deeper as she walked. She tried to dig them out with a silver ring. She could not reach them all. Her back was burned from the fall. Skin was peeling off. She was losing blood. She was starving. She could no longer catch frogs. She was too weak. On the 11th day, she saw a boat pulled onto the riverbank. She thought she was hallucinating. She rubbed her eyes 3 times. The boat did not disappear.
She climbed up the bank. There was a small hut, empty. Inside, she found a container of gasoline. She poured it directly onto her arm to force the maggots out. The pain was blinding. 30 of them came out of one wound alone.
She sat inside the hut and waited. Night came, morning came. Nobody arrived.
Then, that evening, she heard voices. 3 men walked out of the jungle. They stopped the moment they saw her. Torn clothes, swollen face, skin peeling, eyes bloodshot red. In Peruvian folklore, there is a spirit of the water called Yacumama, a river demon that appears in the form of a woman. The men thought Julianne was Yacumama. Julianne gathered the last of her strength. She spoke to them in Spanish. "My name is Julianne. I was on the Lanza plane. I am the only one who survived." The men still could not believe her. They had heard about the crash on the radio. They had been told there were no survivors. Then they realized she was telling the truth. They cleaned her wounds. They fed her roasted flour called farina. They gave her clothing. The next morning, they took her to a village, then to a small plain, then to a hospital in Yarinacocha.
She was home for Christmas the following year.
Investigators later discovered something even harder to accept. 14 other passengers had also survived the initial crash. Not one, 14. They had been alive on the jungle floor for hours, some for days, waiting for a rescue that never came. Julianne was the only one who kept walking. She was the only one who followed the water. She was the only one who remembered what her father had taught her. Today, Julianne Kopke is 71 years old. She became a zoologist just like her mother. She lives in Germany and Peru. She directs the same biological research station her parents built, deep in the same jungle where she once lay dying at 17.
She has said in interviews that for years after the crash, she had nightmares. She would see the faces of the passengers on the plane, and the question that haunted her more than any nightmare was one she could never answer. Why me? Why did I live?
The answer might be simpler than she thought. 14 other people survived that fall. All of them stopped walking. She did not. If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments. What is the one thing you would have done differently at 17 years old, in the middle of the Amazon, with a broken collarbone and 30 pieces of candy? Subscribe for more stories about the moments where the impossible became true. I will see you in the next one.